new energy facilities and new nuclear facilities in particular. And we'll start with Mr. Douglas Hunter. Doug is the CEO and General Manager of Utah Associated Municipal Power Systems, UAMPS, which is trying to cite America's first SMR. Mr. Hunter joined UAMPS in 1983. He's a 35-year veteran of the electric power industry. And prior to his appointment as General Manager at UAMPS in 1995, he was Assistant General Manager, and he was the Manager of Municipal Resources. He holds an MBA from Utah State University and a BS degree in biochemistry from the University of California, Davis. He currently serves as the chair on the American Public Power Association's Executive Committee, and he has served on the APPA Board of Directors. Doug will talk to us about the extensive process that they're going through now, and I'll turn it over to you, Doug.
Thank you, Aaron. I'm going to share my screen to start with, but thank you very much for having me on this panel. It's very timely, obviously, with what we're doing. So I think it's important in terms of opening comments so that the audience understands who we are generally, because it incorporates a process of community discussion in it. So we're what we refer to as a joint action agency. We're a political subdivision of the state of Utah, but we don't take tax dollars or do anything of that nature. We're independent. We have 49 utilities in 7 western states, as you can see on the map. They're scattered through, mainly in Utah. We're project-based, we're not for profit. And what that means is that our members are not obligated to participate in any project or to even purchase power from us. It's all has to be a voluntary concept, and we really do push on member autonomy. And so I wanted to start off with, this is something that's embedded in UAMPS. This just happens to be how we came to the Carbon-Free Power Project, but really we do an extensive, it's been a long-term project over 30 years of explaining all the technological aspects of electricity use and production, the implementation, what it takes, and the operations of it, so that the communities can start to make choices of their own on what they want to do for their future resources. And we're set up to handle that response. I'm not going to go into this in too much depth. These are obviously things I am going to point out. The reliability resiliency concept that we're all facing, especially in the Western United States right now. We're all geared up again for potential outages that could come with a change in the weather here in the next 30 days again, which last year we had in California. And we're just losing capacity due to the coal fleet being retired, and we have to do that. There's other options we can look at, and we have looked at them, but a number of my members, over 30, have decided that they want to pursue small modular reactors. And that really brings in the stakeholder involvement. So you can see, again, this is our normal process. This is how we do almost any type of power plant or transmission line or anything. We start off obviously with UAMPS in terms of setting up a project, so that there's project oversight and contractual control of what's going on. We obviously meet with the governing bodies of all the communities that we're involved in, so that they can start to understand and see if they're going to want to do this or not do this, whatever the option may be. And then the regulatory entities, so that we start to get societal approval. They really handle that, you know. In this instance, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, it really sort of handles the society at large, if you will. We're going to be much more granular. And then we go into the public hearings. Now, we do have a number of invitation-only hearings, and these are usually with the governing bodies and regulatory bodies, so that they can quietly, you know, ask the dumb question, if you will, or criticize us heavily, that sort of thing. But we don't shy away from general public meetings. In this process for the small modular and nuclear reactors, we've had over 200 public meetings, very well attended, where they can go through. And then, of course, there's the others. For us on this project, this was indigenous people, the Shoshone-Bannock tribe association up in Idaho. We're not on their land, but they border up, and they consider where our site is as ancestral lands. And so we really engage with those. And then, of course, the opposition, which we engage, we bring in no matter what we're doing, whether it be a coal plant, or any other transmission line, so that they get to hear from us the full presentation of what we're going to be doing. They can then engage in that, but it's very important that we continue to listen. I'm not going to, again, go through these either, except for a couple of things I want to point out here on siting. Now, we decided to work, and it took us a long time. This has been a very slow process, but we would do this again with almost anything. A wind project specifically would be another example that we've done this on, is siting. So we decided we wanted to work with the Department of Energy to site these new reactors at the Idaho National Laboratories because of its purpose. It was set aside by the federal government for reactors. The community is well aware. There's been 54, I guess there's so many reactors at that site already. The Naval Reactor Center is there as well. And so we had to go through we went through a very cautious process of following the EPRI NRC criteria on siting. We looked at all 7 states. We developed sites in almost all the states, ruled them in and out for various reasons, and went through that criteria to select. Obviously, INL was pretty superior all the way through. And we were successful in negotiating a long-term lease with the Department of Energy. And the tricky thing was the environmental was working through the DOE and the NRC on NEPA, on the National Environmental Policy Act, because there has to be a lead there. And again, then the sitting down, walking and being out on the ground with the Shoshone Bannocks, so they could tell us about the land, indicate where they would not want to have us sited, and if we were going to be there, what type of cultural sites or things like that. We were not required to do that. The DOE had to have an engagement, and they really weren't doing it, to be honest with you. I don't mean to be critical, but we felt they were lacking in that concept. And then safety, and I'm not going to get into it, but the NRC has approved the design certification. It's awaiting final sign off for the new scale technology that we're using. And in the Tennessee Valley, Clinch River, early site permit that TVA went after, Tennessee Valley Authority, they got fence line using this technology. They got fence line emergency planning zone, which is a big indicator of safety. And another thing I just want to go through, we spent a lot of time to make sure we have the contractual area and a setup that is very transparent and allows people to leave the project peacefully for some reason, basically on their own. We do have, it's set up contractually so that other people aren't harmed by doing that. But we do have a concept contractually with our equipment manufacturers and engineering folks and construction folks that if we have a levelized cost of energy over 40 years that is greater than $58 a megawatt hour in today's dollars, that we can end the project. We have an option to end the project, and until we get to our licensing application with the NRC, we have 100% reimbursement of our money. Now, we're also receiving monies from the DOE, which helps allow us to enter into that contractual because it reduces that reimbursement by the other companies, and we set that out. So that was another important thing. And then, of course, the other, there's odd little issues that have come up, and you just really need to listen and not just ignore them as you go through. So the last thing, governing bodies, we've got over 30 communities have signed up. We're still allowing others to come in. As I mentioned, the approval, the NRC approval, which is a big thing, the secured site, the contractual arrangements to manage the risk. And I'll end with that. I'll stop sharing.
All right. Thank you so much, Doug. I'm sure our committee will have a fairly large number of questions for you. But we're now going to